I want to speak to you who feel pushed down, walked on, if you feel like you've been forgotten, like you're the lowest of the low. God has a word for you today in Jeremiah 39. The word for you today are the words of Jesus. The last should be first, and the first should be last. Look at what happens in Jeremiah chapter 39. In the 9th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army came against Jerusalem and besieged it. In the 11th year of Zedekiah, in the 4th month, in the 9th day, a breach was made in the city. He talks about when the besieging started and when they broke through the wall, about a year and a half. And this wall was big. It was thick. They thought, we're fine. But they breached the wall. And the high king and the high nobles and the high royal family said, oh no. We thought we were okay. We had this amazing wall. Now what do we do? Well, they ran. They ran through the garden of the king, but the Chaldeans pursued them, the Bible says. And they caught the king. And Nebuchadnezzar put a sentence on him. And the king was forced to watch all of his sons murdered right in front of him. Then the nobles of the land, high nobles, rich, wealthy, fat and sassy, murdered right in front of Zedekiah. Then they put his eyes out. The last thing he would see was the death of his sons, his friends, his nobles. Then they put brass handcuffs on him and they took him away into exile. How the mighty have fallen, the Bible says. And almost as a footnote, look at what happens, because this is where you come in. Nebuzaradan, verse 10 of chapter 39, the captain of the guard, left in the land of Judah some poor people. They exiled everybody, except they left some poor people who owned nothing and gave them vineyards and fields at the same time. Isn't that incredible? These are people who the king, the royal family, just the middle class would have looked down on, like, oh, these people are nothing. They own nothing. They're peasants. They're nothing. You know, these are people that wouldn't have been noticed. Nobody would give a second look to. And yet they would be the ones who would own everything. The entire land of Judah would be owned by those people. Now, Jeremiah was in prison at the time. And the Bible says that Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, gave command concerning Jeremiah in verse 11 through Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard. And he said this, verse 12, take him, look after him well, and do him no harm, but deal with him as he tells you. God said, I'm not forgetting my prophet. I'm not forgetting the least, and I'm not forgetting my prophet. How the mighty have fallen, yes, but how the lowly have been raised up. There's coming a day when every person will stand before God. And very much like the rich man and Lazarus had their day. When they were high, when they were low, everything switched. The rich man who rejected Jesus was in hell. And yet the poor man who had just wanted to get by, but he had faith in the coming Messiah, he was in paradise. There's coming a day like that for all of us. What you do in this life matters. Don't forget that. Your life has purpose because there's going to be a day when everything will be on display. All the good you did, all the suffering you did for Christ, all of it goes on display. That's what makes today matter. And while you may feel like God has forgotten you and everyone's forgotten you, there's coming a day, just like for these poor peasants, they got big vineyards and big lands out of nowhere. I mean, this wasn't supposed to be a big day for them. God's going to remember you also.